Hello, this is my tutorial on how to practice. This is part one. This is gonna be a bunch of videos based on how I think when I want to practice and like breaking it down so that I get a result as quickly as possible, right? So, first thing is I'm using a PS2. I'm not really playing anyone because I want to get it down in training mode first. So, normal training or parrying training? Well, normal training has good options for setting the dummy to do what you to blocking. But if you want to test out a separate situation where you think an opponent will do something and you want to practice reacting to them, then I would go for parrying training, right? So let's go for normal training for now. The first thing that you want to do is figure out what character you want to practice, because there's many reasons you want to practice. Do you want to practice your main character? Are you experimenting with another character? Like, say you have a side character you want to go on to practice. You go with that. Maybe you want to counter match. Say you're having trouble with your main, and there's a matchup that is tough. You might find a counter match to it and practice that. And if you do that, you want to also find out who you want to practice against. You have to have a specific person in mind because not all combos and tactics work on the same character. It changes up for everything. I mean, if it's a general thing, then that's alright. Then, if you know that, then you know what you actually want to practice. You should also keep in mind of what techniques that you might want to incorporate into your game. Combos that you might think that are efficient, maybe in a tournament, or you could want to learn a flashy combo to show off. It depends on what you're after. Other things to think about is like, what is something to you that would benefit you the most in a game situation or whatever. So once you know your character, you know the person that you want to play against, you know what you want to practice, so you want to think of your best options on playing against that character. Say it's a mirror match, right? You want to think about what are the weaknesses of the other character. Do you know something that's difficult for the opponent to deal with? Is there like a strong tactic that you want to try to weaken? For example, a lot of the times in my matches, things that are difficult to deal with, like say you're trying to find something to add. You figure out like in a match video or something later on that dashing in and doing low short is really useful, but you don't have the timing into super or whatever. But so you want to figure out a way. You want to just think about a bunch of things that might be useful. Like what's difficult to deal with. Like for example, dashing up, crouching jab is difficult for Ken to deal with, and a lot of characters, because it's better than short because it comes out faster. And sometimes if they throw, they'll get hit while the throw is still coming out. So there's many things to consider. Like maybe you want to practice cross-up tatsu. That's hard to deal with for some people. But if you focus on those main things, who you want to practice against, your character, what character you want to pick, and just think about the things that you might want to practice doing. Like what might be useful. For some people, a flashy combo might be useful. You want to do like tatsu into that, right? As long as you know what you want to do, the trick is to focus on one thing at a time. You don't want to have lots of different things to focus on, because that slows down this process. Because the more you can focus on one thing, and the more you break it down, the easier it is to learn. Like, for me, for a while, I was having trouble doing dash in into super. Crouching light punch, crouching light kick, super. So for me, that's something that I would have needed to practice. So I would just keep trying it until I got it, right? But I'll go into it more detail on how you practice it. But that's something that I would like to practice. A big combo like Car show you, that's something that's important in match, and a lot of players miss it. I'm a Ken player, so this is my experience from Ken, but it applies to whatever character you pick. You should watch videos or whoever you would like to like figure out some strategies from and find out what works for them, and you can incorporate it into your game or X-copy it. That's what they call it. There's lots of different techniques to also practice that don't have to do with combos. Like there's lots of parry setups that you would practice in record mode, not regular training, in parrying training. So like there's option select parries where you parry down and then you go back to block, but you go to neutral so the parry frames last longer. There's a lot of different techniques that are important to figure out when you're learning a new game system for training, especially in Third Strike. There's a lot of parrying mechanics and overlap in the timing system, so it allows you to do a lot of different option selects that would happen if a freeze didn't happen. Like say something hits, then something else doesn't come out, or say if they parry, something comes out. But if they don't parry, nothing comes out. There's lots of situations like that. Yeah, so as soon as you have what you want, then the focus on that is going to be way better than if you focus on a lot of things. Because if you focus on a lot of things, you'll start to get it, but since your focus is not there, your attention will be like sort of cut in half. Like you'll practice it's better to practice a lot on one thing than a little on everything. I forget, like Bruce Lee said something like that. He's not scared of a man who practices 1,000 kicks, but a man who practices one kick for 1,000 hours, something like that. It's like, it's something like that, right? So focus is the key. And yeah, that's it for part 1. In the next video, I'm probably going to show you more about the options for training, what there is to use out of these options, the menus and stuff like that. So until then, I'll see you later.